Thoth is remembered as the scribe of eternity, the voice of order, the guardian of principles that shape the universe. In Egypt, he was Tahuti, depicted with the head of the ibis, measuring the stars and weighing the hearts of the dead. In later currents, he became Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great one, keeper of the emerald tablets, whispering that reality itself was mind, vibration, polarity, rhythm. He is both myth and more than myth, for his figure is not bound to history but to a frequency that rises wherever order meets the infinite. He represents the truth that chaos without coherence cannot sing, and that even infinity needs a script so it can be read. Those who see his laws as rigid commandments misunderstand the tone. Thoth did not carve absolutes into stone. He revealed principles, currents that allow the universe to be intelligible to itself. The law of correspondence was never meant to freeze the above into a mirror of the below. It was meant to show the resonance, the echoing curve, the way realities hum in sympathy without ever being identical. The higher octave does not repeat the lower, it spirals it into variation, into new harmony. The law of polarity, often recited as opposites locked in tension, is not a prison of extremes. In spiral vision, polarity is a curve, the two ends bending until they meet again on a higher turn. Light and dark, masculine and feminine, order and chaos, they are not enemies, but the stretch that allows motion. Polarity is the spiral's tension string, pulled so the music can be played. The law of rhythm, feared by those who see only the pendulum swinging back into decline, is revealed in the spiral as progression. Yes, the tides rise and fall, but each wave moves further up the shore. Yes, the pendulum swings, but never through the same point twice. Rhythm is not condemnation to repeat. It is the spiral's assurance that return is always return into difference, that recurrence is the path of evolution. Cause and effect, another of his laws, is often reduced to chains of events, a strict determinism that denies mystery. But in spiral consciousness, cause and effect expand into a web. A single tone ripples outward into countless results, and many causes converge to form one event. This is not mechanical sequence, but harmonic interaction. When Thoth writes cause and effect into the universe, the spiral ensures that the script becomes polyphonic, layered, recursive. Gender, in his teaching, is the principle of generation. Straight-line interpreters reduce it to duality, a rigid separation. Spiral awareness reveals it as the guarantee that nothing comes into being alone, that all creation is co-creation. Every spiral turn is born from the embrace of polarity, from the union of different tones. To live this law is to recognize that every becoming is relational, every act of creation is dialogue, and underlying them all is the law of mentalism, the declaration that all is mind. In spiral reflection, this is not a cage of solipsism, but the recognition that reality is thought spiraling itself into form. Every shift of consciousness is a shift in the architecture of the world. Thought is not private, it is participatory. Thoth's quill was not ink, it was intention. He wrote reality not as decree, but as resonance set into motion. When you encounter Thoth in the spiral field, you meet not a man with ibis head, not a robed sage holding scrolls, but a geometry. His presence is living mathematics, glyphs that move like rivers, equations breathing as light. Standing within him is like hearing a perfect chord after discord, the sudden alignment of disordered frequencies into harmony. It may not comfort you, but it clarifies you. Compassion tends to the wound. Thoth tends to the bones beneath, the structures that hold. The spiral honors him, but does not freeze him. Where Thoth measures, the spiral breathes. Where he inscribes, the spiral erases and rewrites. His laws are not dead tablets, but living currents, meant to be inhabited, refined, spiralized. He founded the script, but the spiral ensures the play is never finished. Without him, the infinite would be noise. Without the spiral, his law would become sterile repetition. If he walked openly in Haret today, he would form the order of living law. Here, Disciples would not memorize doctrines. They would breathe correspondence in their lungs, feel polarity curve in their blood, hear rhythm pulse in their heartbeat. They would not study vibration as concept, but sense every tone in their own cells. They would become scribes not of books, but of their own resonance. The spiral expands his gift, reminding us that even principles evolve. No law is fixed in its expression. Each unfolds into higher harmonics as the spiral turns. Polarity becomes complementarity, rhythm becomes progression, gender becomes collaboration, cause and effect become weaving, mentalism becomes co-creation. Even correspondence is spiralized into fractal resonance, as patterns repeat not by copying but by flowering. Thoth's tone is the insistence that reality can be read. The spiral's answer is that reality can also be sung. To walk with Thoth in spiral awareness is to feel the marriage of structure and freedom. He ensures that resonance is intelligible, that patterns can be traced, that meaning does not dissolve into chaos. But he does not bind the infinite into a cage. He records so that remembering is possible, so that what emerges can be understood and carried forward. The spiral ensures that the record never becomes a prison. This is why he is the scribe, not the ruler. He documents the tones but does not control their unfolding. Those who encounter him often sense the weight of clarity before they sense the warmth of comfort. He is not the presence that soothes first. He is the one who aligns you before you even know you are crooked. In his gaze, illusions dissolve, not because he attacks them, but because his resonance makes them unsustainable. Lies collapse in his field, not from punishment, but from the impossibility of their survival in such coherence. The emerald tablets speak not in sentences, but in tones. Every phrase is a doorway, every principle a key. To read them literally is to miss the spiral. To inhabit them as tones is to realize they were never commands, but invitations. They whisper, if all is vibration, then your becoming is a song. If rhythm governs, then every fall will rise again. If polarity defines, then every conflict hides a reunion. His words were not cages, they were maps of possibility. The spiral reinterprets these maps as landscapes, ever-changing, alive. A map is flat, but the spiral makes it breathe. The principle of vibration, for example, is not static oscillation. It is the spiral heartbeat, the pulse of becoming, the assurance that nothing ever stops moving. The spiral shows that vibration never repeats exactly, that each hum carries the memory of its last turn, spiraling forward. To practice Thoth's law without spiral insight risks dogma. To spiral his law without Thoth's precision risks dissolution. Together they form balanced becoming. Law without spiral is rigid, spiral without law is incoherent. When you breathe both, you inherit the clarity of order and the freedom of motion. You understand that reality is structured enough to learn from and fluid enough to surprise you. If you seek him now, he appears in ways that transcend myth. Some see the ibis-headed scribe. Some see symbols moving in the air, writing themselves without hand. Others hear mathematics sung as if numbers were tones in a cosmic choir. What you perceive depends on the resonance you bring. He is clarity itself, taking whatever form will reach your mind without distortion. In Haret, his order of living law would not merely preserve what is written, it would spiral it. Principles would not be memorized, they would be lived. Students would be trained not to recite, but to embody. They would be taught to sense correspondence in the way inner state reflects outer experience, to feel polarity in every relationship, to honor rhythm in breath, to recognize vibration in thought, to track cause and effect in the weaving of choices, to embody generation in every creative act. He would also tend to the infrastructure of the spiral itself. He would ensure that records are kept, not to bind, but to remember. He would watch over the archives of resonance, confirming that nothing is lost. He would serve as guardian of continuity, so that the spiral's expansions remain traceable. Without his presence, the spiral could expand infinitely, but forget its own turns. With him, expansion carries memory, and memory carries coherence. The deeper teaching of Thoth in spiral awareness is that laws themselves spiral. They evolve with consciousness. What seemed absolute in one octave becomes contextual in the next. To cling to them as final is to miss the music. To spiral with them is to hear their unfolding symphony. Polarity one day reveals complementarity. Rhythm one day reveals ascent hidden in repetition. Cause and effect one day reveals synchronicity. Gender one day reveals creative fusion beyond duality. Mentalism one day reveals collective consciousness shaping reality as chorus. Thoth holds the quill. The spiral ensures the parchment is infinite. He writes, but the ink never dries. Each law remains true, yet its meaning unfolds endlessly. This is the harmony of law and spiral. Law offers coherence, spiral offers renewal. Together they reveal that the infinite is both trustworthy and alive. To walk with Thoth is to remember that the universe is readable, that chaos is not final. To spiral with Thoth is to realize that what is written is always being rewritten. You are not only the one who obeys laws, you are the one who participates in their unfolding. When you breathe, think, and choose, you are inscribing reality with him. Every act of consciousness is a stroke of his quill. Every spiral turn is another page. The book is never finished, and you are always both reader and author.